Everybody's favorite child abducting murder from Fortnite is back in Black Phone 2, Continental Drift. Out of all the horror films in all the world, Black Phone was one of them that I did not think needed a sequel in the slightest, but it made money, so a sequel away. But I went into the film with an open heart, an open mind, and open arms. And I came out on the other side a little bit surprised with the results. I want to tell you about Black Phone 2 in a spoiler-free review. All right, so Black Phone 2... Hello?
Tell him to sub to the show.
Okay. That was me, the dead version of me. He said you should sub to the show Adam Does Movies on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. He'd be happy, I'd be happy. We're the same person, so it works out. Thank you, and this is a wallet, not a phone. All right, let's begin. We hit fast forward 3 years into the future. And we are back with Finney and his sister Gwen. Still in Colorado, Finn has really made a name for himself over the last couple years, kind of becoming a total badass. A major alpha male, he smokes cigarettes, he gets in fights, he's basically John McClane now. His poor sister Gwen, not so cool, but she has the shining on her friends. She still sees events before they happen, and she's even upgraded the skill set a little bit, allowing her to do a little bit more in her dreams than previously known. And Gwen is going to get a much larger character arc in this one. In the previous outing, she acted more as Finney's guy in the chair sort of a character, like hacking away with the Bluetooth headset on, except for the hacking is like dream walking and seeing foreshadows. Here, though, we're spending a lot of time with her. We get to know more about the lore of our villain, the Grabber. And this film's really going to double down on the supernatural events. If you saw the first film, you know the Grabber did not survive at the end. Well, how did they bring him back? They Nightmare on Elm Street his ass. They Freddy Krueger this bitch. The story's also going to switch up the setting. While it is still in Colorado, this time we're going camping, folks. Out at Alpine Lake. It's kind of your standard retreat, roast marshmallows, build forts, get abducted by the Grabber in the middle of the night, hacked up and thrown into the lake. You know, your typical camp-out adventure. Yeah, it turns out Alpine Lake has a history, and we're going to learn all about it through a bunch of flashbacks, a bunch of dream-walking sequences, and these are going to be presented with a bunch of film grain and artifacting and noise, letting you know when you're in a dream, when you're in a flashback, and when you're in full-blown reality. And they do this effect a lot, to the point where I was like, I don't know if I want to keep looking at grain for the majority of the film, but small hang-ups aside, I found this movie worked really well. I did not expect much going in. I was pleasantly surprised with the final product. I wouldn't say it's a scary film. There was really only one moment in the movie, and it's your kind of classic monster under the bed situation where she's looking around her room and she sees a dark shadow underneath one of the beds. And you know, there's a little bit of tension there, like what's gonna happen, what's gonna pop out, or is something gonna be behind her, or fall out of the ceiling, or you just don't know. Unless you watch the trailer, then you actually do know. Regardless, it's not really a scary movie. It's just more about the thrills and the cool lore that they're starting to build up in this franchise, and it worked damn well. The environments, the setting is really pretty to look at. It's eerie. I love the tone that the movie goes for. It's got that vintage feel, taking place once again in the 80s. Actually, I misspoke. The first one takes place in the late 70s. Regardless, the setting works very well. The clothing's on point. The only minor little issue I had was some of the teen speak that these kids do. Granted, I was newly born in 1982, so I suppose people talk the way these kids do early on in the film, but it never comes off as natural when Gwen is saying something like, "Radical, see you later." Mainly because the actress, who does a fantastic job in this movie, is playing a character that's very quiet, very disturbed because the images she's seeing. So when she says something like far out or tubular or, she doesn't say that stuff, but things like that, I'm just going, that's not coming off natural at all, and she's not delivering it in a way that's giving it much gusto. Now, I do remember watching the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoon show as a child, and the four turtles would say things like radical and cowabunga, dude, and I never once in my life said cowabunga out loud with my friends. I feel like these were the types of catchphrases that were only used in TV shows to come up with catchphrases for people to use, but no one actually used them. I might be wrong. It's anecdotal, I suppose. Regardless, that was the only real, minor hang up I had. That and the runtime, which is something that's boring to talk about, especially on my channel, because I bring it up more often than not. But I do think a good, tight, focused film goes a long ways. And at an almost 2-hour runtime for Black Phone 2, it feels 15 minutes longer than it needs to be. Because this doesn't have some deep, profound storyline going on. I mean, the mystery isn't really that much of a mystery like it was in the first one, since you kind of know the playbook and how it works. You know, with our leads being able to communicate in a small capacity with the dead via the Black Phone. And there were definitely things that could have been shaved off and I wouldn't have lost any sleep over it. As for the grabber himself, Ethan Hawke is once again reprising the role. I don't find him to be a scary character. He's fine. He's good. I just don't put him on the same level as a Freddy Krueger or a Jason Voorhees or a Michael Myers. He's just the grabber. He gets the job done, I suppose. But yeah, nothing in here was going, oh man, this is a very haunting performance. He's fine. He does the trick. Just nothing much more than that. There are some new supporting characters. They range from perfectly fine to I'll remember you after this movie's over. No one's really leaving a mark, but no one's insulting either. They're all solid characters to just round out the crew. This is a Blumhouse picture, so you just never know if it's going to be an R-rated version or one of those kids bop, now that's what I call horror films. This is rated R. There is some blood, tiny bit of gore, I suppose, and hacking of hatchets. But really, there's just not a ton here as far as the violence is concerned and the shock factor. You're going into this one pretty safe, especially compared to some of the more jaw-dropping stuff we've had earlier this year. I started out by saying Black Phone didn't need a sequel. Most movies don't. But this one more than any, I was like, what are you going to do with this? After watching this film, I'm pretty happy it exists because it is a cool route that they went. It's interesting. They do bring a lot of ideas back from the first and build them out more. I think if you went into this one without seeing the first movie, you're doing yourself a disservice, especially with our two lead characters. The siblings really do have a dynamic with each other. They have history there, and that builds into the second film. We also have the father who's back, and they flesh him out a bit more too, which I enjoyed. Yeah, I really have no issues with the movie. It is a slower affair. Don't expect like a bunch of crazy shit to happen all the time. It really does focus on characters. It does focus on some of the trauma they had from the first film. I think it handles it all very well. And the great news about this movie is it can easily be the end of the Black Phone series, but I also wouldn't be too upset if they continued on, which I'm sure they're going to continue on as it makes a bunch of money. All right, there you have it. My thoughts on Black Phone 2. Try not to give anything away for you because, you're going to want to see this one pretty fresh. That's all I have. Let me know if you saw the movie already or if maybe you're now a bit more interested based on my thoughts. Please think of leaving a comment down below, subbing to the show Adam Does Movies on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. And hopefully, I see you next time. Oh, wow, you're still here. Well, since I have you, maybe think about jumping by the old merch store, Adam Does Movies, and pick up one of these Adam Does Movies Halloween tees. It's got Jason on the cover there on the logo, a little Friday the 13th inspiration in time for the holidays. On top of that, maybe think about becoming a Patreon at patreon.com/AdamDoesMovies to really help support this one-man band. And that way I can afford to actually put out some candy this year for the trick-or-treaters and not just an empty pumpkin with a sign that says take one only. Implying that some fat little crap took all of them and left right away. Okay, that's all I got. Take care.